So what's up? I don't know if y'all heard the news or not, but it's going to be some changes to that old Section 8. You know what I'm saying? And the game is about to change, and hopefully it's going to change for the better. But there's going to be some mixed thoughts about it. You know what I mean? Some people ain't going to like it. Some people, they probably going to like it. Me personally, I think the changes is long overdue. And I know everybody going to blame Trump. They're going to blame Trump. They're going to blame Trump. The media going to blame Trump. Oh, my God, he's taking our Section 8. But at the end of the day, it didn't start with Trump. And stick around. I'm going to show you how it all started way back in the day. Well, check this out.
Paradigm shift. You know as well as I do, work restores dignity. Yeah. Work brings pride. You know, and our welfare system deviated from what it was intended to be from its origin. It was intended for the most vulnerable, to the most needy in our country. But now we've created welfare as a lifestyle in our country. And, you know, America is not a welfare state. America is a country of opportunity and a country of entrepreneurship. And so this will help us to encourage able-bodied people in America that are receiving government subsidies to work. You know, there was a study that came out, almost 50% of households that are receiving HUD funds, almost 50%, not one person in that household is working. And that has to change. That culture, that paradigm has to change. At HUD, this is common sense compassion. We want to help people and invigorate and encourage people to work, able-bodied people to work. We're not talking about the elderly. We're not talking about those that are disabled. Able-bodied, able-minded people that are receiving HUD funding should go to work to restore dignity, Maria. Maria, you get up early in the morning and you work, you serve. And so we want to give other people and encourage others the same opportunity. And so this is a great step forward, working with our colleagues at Agriculture and also Health and Human Services and Dr. Oz to be kind of a catalyst to change the trajectory of the lives of people in our country.
I think it's a
Exactly. He said enough. She don't even got to get into it. Okay. He said enough right there. Welfare was designed to help people who was down and out, right? It wasn't designed to help people stay on it for the rest of their life. And I know in my personal experience, in my family, right? I got family members that's been on it for generations. Okay. I also got family members that got on it. They got off of it. They ended up buying their own house. Now they got college degrees and now they own their own businesses, right? And now they kids got college degrees and they kids own businesses. And remember I told y'all I was going to show y'all where it started. Before y'all get to blaming Donald Trump, y'all might want to see this. This is the first
When
black
I ran
president.
for president 4 years ago, I pledged to end welfare as we know it. I have worked very hard for 4 years to do just that. Today, the Congress will vote on legislation that gives us a chance to live up to that promise, to transform a broken system that traps too many people in a cycle of dependence to one that emphasizes work and independence, to give people on welfare a chance to draw a paycheck, not a welfare check. It gives us a better chance to give those on welfare what we want for all families in America, the opportunity to succeed at home and at work.
This policy that he finna tell you about changed my family's life. Somebody that's really near and dear to me, okay? They went from living on the system. Once Bill dropped this right here, changed the whole game, right? They went to college. They went out. They got their credit cleaned up. They went to college. They got their own home. They got married, okay? Now they own their own business. They raised their kids like that. And now my nieces and most of my nieces and family members is nurses now. You know, they got nursing degrees, you know? And so this right here hit home. And everybody, when he first came out, everybody in the hood was talking about, oh, he trying to take our money. But now they trying to show you, like when the Section 8 run out and the welfare run out, what you gonna do, right? What if they said today is the last day? What would you do? You'd be hit. So at least you got a little leeway. You got a little bit of runway. You can get started, right? Change your life. Anyway, let's listen to Bill.
For those reasons, I will sign it into law. The legislation is, however, far from perfect. There are parts of it that are wrong, and I will address those parts in a moment. But on balance, this bill is a real step forward for our country, our values, and for people who are on welfare. For 15 years, I have worked on this problem as governor and as a president. I've spent time in welfare offices. I have talked to mothers on welfare who desperately want the chance to work and support their families independently. A long time ago, I concluded that the current welfare system undermines the basic values of work, responsibility, and family.
Undermines what? Did y'all hear that? Right. Welfare undermines your success in a nutshell, right? If you on welfare and you on Section 8 and you know you got a certain amount of money you can make, right, before you get cut off, the mindset for a lot of people is, I don't want to get up here to that money level because they're going to cut me off, right? But at the end of the day, the little peanuts that they giving you are just that. They just peanuts. Because if you get out here, you can start your own business. Ain't nothing stopping you from starting your own business. Ain't nothing stopping you from learning a new skill, right? YouTube right here, right? How many people got a business from YouTube, right? I know I've learned plenty of skills from YouTube. I ain't never been on Section 8, not for myself. I done met some girls on Section 8. You know, I lived with a few family members on Section 8 during hard times when I was younger, you know, as a young man, so I get it. But there's too many of our people out here that's on this program, staying on this program, and then they pass it down generations. Anyway, I don't want to preach too much.
Trapping generation after generation in dependency and hurting the very people it was designed to help. Today we have an historic opportunity to make welfare what it was meant to be, a second chance, not a way of life.
Woo! So there you go. Don't get to blaming Trump, right? Don't get to talking that you know, don't get to doing that. Okay. There's a story out of Colorado, right? About the Section 8 vouchers. Here we go.
Denver 7 Sally Mamdouh is digging into the issue tonight. And Sally, you talked to a woman who's called Colorado home for 20 years and may have reached her limit.
And natives will tell you Colorado today doesn't look familiar, and for some it had forced them out of their homes and into the streets. Cranes and construction means less and less room for Denver native Lisa Salazar.
It's horrible now. You can't move nowhere. I'm struggling right now looking for a place.
Lisa has been homeless for a month. Her rent just spiked, and she can't find a place to accept her rent assistance voucher.
I've been on Section 8 for, I'm not lying, about 20 years.
20 years. This woman has been on Section 8. 20 calendars, okay? And now she's homeless and can't find a landlord to accept her voucher. And I'm going to tell y'all why, okay? My dad, before he passed, rest in peace, we was plumbers, okay? We went out, we did home maintenance, right? We worked for mortgage companies. We worked for landlords, okay? We did home remodels. We did cleaning drains, all that, okay? And we would go to people's houses. That was on Section 8, right? We would help landlords get houses up to code so they could pass Section 8 inspection, right? So they could get approved to accept the vouchers. And you go there a year later after this family that's been in there and the house don't look the same, right? It is not in the same condition. And I'm not saying all Section 8 people like that is, but I would say 80% of the Section 8 houses that I personally helped get up to code ended up getting destroyed, okay? A lot of times these people would get kicked out after a year. They wouldn't even make it a year, and then we had to redo it, get the house built up again, move a new family in there to the point where landlords are saying, hey, I don't even want to take Section 8, right? I had a girl that I used to work with, her and her old man, they had Section 8. Now they keep their house really nice, okay? And she works and he works, right? And they got kids and all that, but they doing it the right way, trying to come up, and they can't even find a landlord to take their voucher in our city because the reputation of the tenants that's on Section 8, landlords, they just steer clear of it because they got to go through a lot of red tape to get their stuff verified in the first place, and then they move people in there that don't treat it right, right? And then the neighbors complain about the people that's moving in and all of the traffic going in and out, So, it has become a bad thing. Section 8 is not what it used to be. If I understand people go through hard times, they need help, and that's what we should do. We should help, right? Our government should be there to help, right? But at the end of the day, our government shouldn't be taking care of generational people that's on Section 8. I agree. They should take them off. Take them off Section 8, get a job, right? Instead of having 6, 7, 8 kids, don't have kids unless you plan on staying with the person that you're having kids with, It's like, what's the point of having 6 kids, 7 kids, ain't nobody daddy at home, and then we wonder why we got these teen takeovers everywhere, right? We worry about all this crime in our streets, right? And it's our people doing it to our people, It's our kids, and we can sit here and blame it on Trump, blame it on the white man, blame it on racism, blame it on this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, it's on us. Ain't nobody coming to save you, right? The Democrats ain't coming to save you, right? I think this is the best thing Trump could have did, because at the end of the day, this is going to make young ladies think twice before they decide to go have all these kids, right? Young ladies, it's up to you, right? You can save your own community, right? By stopping the madness.
Heard of Section 8 and public assistance. It sounded like I hit the jackpot. Like, I'm finally here. I finally get to live a good life. Rent-free. I get to keep my money in my pocket because I get my rent paid.
And that's the appeal, right? Shout out to this young brother right here, the Edwards Report. I'm so happy to see young black men looking like this, right? Dressed nice in a suit, right? Haircut, looking clean, like this is a rare thing, in our community. This should be more. We should be doing this instead of doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, y'all. Time to step it up. All these little young YNs out here acting a fool. A lot of it's because they don't have no dad at home. They ain't got no OG at home, no pops at home. Tell them, hey, start your own business. Pick up a phone, right? The same phone that you're using to text somebody else's girl, you could be using to start your own business. This is a computer, right? This is a whole computer. This is a whole business right here in your hand, right? And you ain't got to use it to make the wrong kind of business either. You get right on YouTube, right? And learn and be whatever you want to be for free. You got 100 million videos, millions and millions of videos on how to become a software engineer, how to become a hairstylist, how to braid, how to start your own business, how to hang cabinets, how to do flooring, how to do roofing. It's all right here in your hand. But what we do, we get on WorldStar, right? What we do, we on IG, we on OF, you know what I'm saying? We on websites like that, YouTube changed my life. To be honest with you, me personally, I learned everything from making T-shirts, fixing cars. I learned how to fix my computer. I learned how to build computers. I ended up going to college, right? Electrical engineering. I made the dean's list, right? At 30-some years old, I'm in college making the dean's list. I didn't even remember how to do algebra. I was taking care of kids, married. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have no time for those tutors. But I got on YouTube. YouTube is what got me through it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of getting on these apps and this stuff to do wrong, we can get on there and learn. It's all free game sitting there. Anyway.
Little did I know that it would ruin my life.
Ruin.
I got Section 8 after I had my second child. I applied to all these wait lists and I finally got it. And I got to choose the neighborhood I wanted to live in. I got to pick the house that I wanted to live in as long as it fit the budget. I got to choose how many bedrooms that I got. It was so wonderful. At that time, I didn't know that my then boyfriend, who already had a felony, would not be able to live with me anymore.
And that's the problem, right? You hear what she said? She's seen she can get a house where she want to live, rent free, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Nice house, nice community, right? But now you got these regulations. You got this red tape. You can't have your man there, right? And see, that's why I think a lot of our sisters, they married the state. They married the government, right? They kicked us out. They kicked us to the curb so they could be married to the government. And didn't matter how many kids they had, because the more kids they had, the more food stamps they got, right? The more kids they had, the bigger they check got, right? The more kids they had, the bigger house they could get. So it was incentivized, you know? And I don't blame my sisters that fell for the trap, but I do say time to wake up, time to get up, time to wake up, challenge yourself. Instead of going around here talking about, oh, Trump did this, and they're talking about riots in Minnesota and all this. Instead of, before y'all go through all that, okay, before y'all go through all that, right, pump your brakes and think to yourself, what would I be if I could be anything? What could it be? And then start making steps to get there, right? And make it something legit, you know, because the technology today, crime don't pay, right? And they catching criminals faster and faster every day. So if you're out there living that life of crime and you're trying to do the hustle gang and you all up underneath this, that, and the other, trying to do whoop-de-whoop-de-woo, you know, it's time to let that go. Them days over with, okay? Them was for the 80s and the 90s, right? The new era is start your own business, right? Why would you go out and work for somebody else when you could work for yourself, right? And what you say, oh, I don't know how to start my own business. I don't know how to start my own business. Right here on YouTube with this phone, laptop, tablet, whatever, get on there, search what you like to do, and I bet you it's 100,000 people teaching you how to do what you might want to do. But as far as living in Section 8, it's a problem. It's a big problem. Shout out to this brother T. Edwards report. Yeah, y'all go out and support this young man right here. I like to see this.
So now, us living together had to be a secret when it was time for inspection. I was hiding his shoes and hiding his clothes and hiding his belongings so that they wouldn't know that there was a man living with me, which caused tension. It caused, you know, some resentment, you know.
Right. Because the man can't be the man, right? He can't be a man. How you gonna let somebody live in your house that you gotta hide, right? And then the first time you get into an argument with him, you say, "Oh, you got to get out." And then what he do? He go around and turn you in, right? So then now everybody out, everybody down bad, right?
And I'll talk about that later. But at that time, I didn't know how it was causing a separation between us. But we did it. You hear a knock at the door, and you wondered if it's management or maintenance or somebody who gonna see him there. So, again, we would hide and sneak around and make it seem like, you know, he didn't live there.
Yeah, I ain't gonna play this man whole video, but I thought this was a good introduction that he came out with. But y'all go watch this man video. I'm gonna link it in the description below. Instead of taking the victim mindset, listen to what this brother got to say. And this is the Black conservative perspective. I watch this. I'm a follower of this channel. The YNs need to be thinking like this young man right here, right? Yeah, I know I look young, but these gray hairs right here, they ain't painted on, okay? They ain't painted on. But, yeah, y'all want some game? Change the way you think. Check it out.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about President Trump making the Black community great again, right? Because I really do believe he has done a pretty decent job at that thus far in his administration, mainly from the mass deportations. Because as I've stressed over and over and over and over and over again, Black people are going to benefit heavily from deporting the illegal immigrants, especially young Black men, because illegal immigrants compete with young Black men for jobs. And I love to see the mass deportations for that reason, okay? And we have another alleged Trump proposal that I think is going to be great for the black community, which is to cut back on the welfare and the government cheese, right? The fact is that you have a lot of able-bodied people who refuse to work, who don't want to work, who want to live off the government. And the Trump administration has said, nah, we're not going to allow that, right? We're going to start making people work, okay? And that has some people freaking out on the internet, right? Headline: Trump proposes cutting $33 billion in HUD funding, including Section 8. The budget proposal prioritizes state-based grants over federal aid and would include a 2-year cap on.
So basically, the money is getting cut from the government and getting put back into the states. Okay. So all y'all people who living in them blue states, I feel for y'all. I feel for the people who live in blue states and these Democrat strongholds. I feel for y'all because at the end of the day, we know it's a lot of corruption on the blue side of the aisle. There's corruption on the red side too. But at the end of the day, places like California, New York, Colorado, all these places, once that money go to the state, I hope it makes it to you, right? And after that, y'all gonna really see who y'all should be voting for, right?
Rental assistance for adults without disabilities. So let's read here. In his budget plan for fiscal year 2026, President Donald Trump has proposed cutting a total of $32.9 billion in funding to HUD. The plan includes $26.7 billion cut to federal rental aid, approximately 40% of the total, and would essentially end Section 8 and other housing voucher programs, according to NPR, right?
And most of this is because they put so much money into these funds year after year after year. And by the time the money gets down to the people who actually need it, it's a whole bunch of people in the middle that get their pockets laced, right? And we see it time and time again. Doge, Elon Musk, love him or hate him, right? He exposing all the corruption, right? And it's corruption on both sides. But at the end of the day, Trump's idea is to put the money back in the state. Same way with the Department of Education, right? Take the money from the government and give it to the people, right? And we should be getting up and we should be voting in our local elections. We should be voting for our school boards. We should be voting for our council members. We should be voting in all these small elections. We should quit waiting every 4 years and just vote for the president. No, we need to get up. We need to write these dates down on our calendars. We need to get out and vote, okay? And we need to vote for people, red or blue, Democrat or Republican. But we need to make sure that these people have our families' values in mind. All of this, craziness that's going on in the world with these men competing in women's sports, these men wanting to come in little kids' bathrooms, little girls' bathrooms, all that stuff need to cut it out. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't going to stop until we do something about it. That's why I like young brothers like this. It gives me hope for the future. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm shouting him out. Again, his name, Black Conservative Perspective. You know what I'm saying?
Sounds great to me, right? Sounds great to me because you have some people who have decided that they're going to live off the government. These programs were meant to be temporary, right, to help people get back on their feet. But that's not how it's worked out in reality. You have a lot of people whose families have been on this rental assistance for generations, right? They've been living in Section 8 housing for decades, okay? Because they are not really trying to help themselves get better jobs, bring in more income, because the more income that you bring in, the less rental assistance that you get. So people would just rather not work and get the government money rather than to work and to dig themselves out of poverty, right? So instead of providing aid at the federal level, the budget proposes creating a grant program to send rental assistance funds to states. It would terminate many federal regulations, incentivize states and the private sector to provide affordable housing, and work in tandem with the efforts to open public lands to development.
Open land to development, right? That means your neighborhood, right? That means your community could be raised up instead of living in these projects that look like craziness. Again, I used to deliver pizza, right? I deliver pizza to the projects, right? I deliver pizza in the hood, on the bricks for over 10 years, right? I lived in some of the scariest neighborhoods in the Midwest. So at the end of the day, I seen it, right? I've been in the projects, right? And at the end of the day, these buildings ain't up to code and they all federally funded, right? This way, the money goes back to the state. So before y'all get in your emotions, right, and let the mainstream media run y'all off into doing some craziness in your city that's going to get you rounded up, okay? Because that's what's going to happen, right? That's my fear, right? And that's why I go back to the BLM thing. Everybody got emboldened. Everybody got, this false sense of I can do whatever I want. I can run up in a store. I can take what I want. No, them days are coming to an end, okay? Those days are coming to an end. The same way you see them rounding up these migrants for doing stuff illegal. What do you think's going to happen when they finally get tired of y'all running up in these stores acting a fool, So we're going to go check out another video. Again, shout out my brother, Black Conservative Perspective. I ain't going to play this whole video. He worked hard on it. Y'all watch this man, young people, right? Quit listening to your homeboys, right? Quit doing what's cool and start doing what's right, okay? Yeah. And right here, this is the wrong attitude to have, okay? Now, shout out to my boy at Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. That's where I found this clip at. You know what I'm saying? Another young brother, right? But I'm going to show you this clip right here. Young ladies, okay? This is black fatigue. This is what people is tired of right here. This attitude right here you finna see.
Have to be someone that utilizes Section 8 to see the damage that this man is trying to cause. Why is it when money needs to be cut, they want to try to take from low-income families, but not make their rich friends pay their taxes?
What? You see the mindset? If only the rich people would pay their taxes so they could pay my rent. That's the wrong move, right? Like I said, if they turn Section 8 and welfare off today and say, you know what, we're not issuing no more checks to nobody, what would you do, right? You would be down bad, okay? So as long as you got this mentality right here, right, thinking somebody owe you something, right? This is what the black fatigue is all about, right here, that mindset, okay? Change that, right? What can you do for you? Look at this girl. She pretty girl, young girl.
People who were well off would just pay their taxes. No money would need to be cut. And people seem to think that, ghetto people are just the ones with Section 8. No, it is made for low-income families, people with disabilities, veterans, people that just need help paying their rent.
Disabilities and veterans and elderly people are not getting cut. They said able-bodied working people get 2 years. So if you able-bodied and you look able-bodied, right, you need to get out, get you a job. My advice would be start your own business, right? You got 2 years to come up with your own business plan. You can write a business plan and you can get on your feet and you can be way better than you ever would have been on Section 8 of welfare.
Right. It just seemed like to me that they like to attack groups that are the most vulnerable instead of getting more money from the groups that are more stable. That's just crazy to me. And at some point you got to think these people are really evil. You're cutting funding from people who already can't afford their housing. How evil do you sound? Section 8 has paved the way for many people to be able to have roof and housing over their heads. So to make that a primary focus for cutting, it's just weird to me. Diabolical, if you will.
There are many Americans that are hustlers that will stop at nothing to promote generational wealth within their families. But there's others that are okay with generational poorness.
Say that. That part. That part. Y'all like to say that. And then all this little nail flipping, the attitude, the entitlement. And then it's like, all you got to do is just pay more taxes. But yeah, listen to this young brother. Like I said, check him out. I'm going to put his link down here
do the bare minimum, never try to hustle to get up out of their situation, needing help for generations to come. Section 8 was never supposed to be into infinity. What I find so ironic about the situation is that many of these single mothers who chose the government in the past as opposed to choosing a man in the household is now finding out that the government never gave a shit and is now taking back their free rides.
Not that I don't think taxes should go to families that need it. I think we need reform of the programs in which tax dollars are allocated to help families. For instance, Section 8. Section 8 is a great leg up for some families, right? Section 8 should not be able to be passed down to your kids and they pass it down to their kids.
what I said at the beginning of the video? And that's the culture. That's our culture, right? And we're going to blame everybody else, right? Everybody else is the problem. We ain't the problem. Everybody else is. So at the end of the day, right? Who it's on? It's on you. And if they cut you off today, you be through, right? So why would you let them hold your future in their hands, right? And that's basically what you're doing. You're surrendering your fate into the government's hands. And when the government decide to turn it off, you're a slave, right? You're a slave in there as far as I'm concerned, right? Because you enslaved yourself. You put a cap on your mental, right? Say, I can't get up this high. Once I get to this high, I need to come back down a little bit. That's a crazy way to think and live.
For sure.
That promotes you staying exactly where you are, because the deterrent is if you make too much, you're going to have to pay this high-ass rent that everybody else is paying.
Yeah.
So you need to stay below this level. You need to stay in poverty. You need to not advance so that you can live easy.
Well, I don't think people choose to be impoverished, though.
Not everybody chooses it, but you and I both know there are a great deal of folks who do. And I think that reform is needed because there are too many families who need these resources but can't get them because they make too much or because certain demographics in the household don't allow it, whatever. But you have people who are openly taking advantage of said system. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. There may be, I can't even say maybe, there are people that abuse that system. But when we look at like percentages, I don't think that's a big enough percentage of us for say, okay, we're about to stop these people.
It's 1,000% a big enough percentage. Again, if Section 8 can be passed down generationally, then that's an issue. That's where I would start.
Right. And then this last female right here, okay? Again, this is the wrong way to think about it, okay? This is why people keep going around with this term black fatigue. It's because of this attitude right here and this mindset right here, right? This is what black people tired of this, okay? White people tired of it and black people tired of it. Y'all listen to what she got to say.
Because I'm in between jobs like crazy.
Why you think you in between jobs? Probably because your attitude, right? Look at, y'all just watch how she flip her nails. Everything that is equivalent to black fatigue is this. So young lady, if you see this video, look in the mirror, okay? Hope you watch this video back to yourself.
Been paying market rent all my life before anybody say, yeah, she just saying that because she on public housing assistance and she just doing that because she trying to milk the system for life. No, my goal was not to milk the system for life, but it did help me temporary because I will be moving. Let me put this on here. I will be moving back out and back into market rent apartments, okay? But there are some people, everybody ain't just passing through like me. There are some people that cannot afford, like me, to move off of Section 8, okay?
Did you hear what she said? She telling herself that she can't afford it. That's her mindset, right? He who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right.
Hey, I know people that got 5+ kids. They cannot afford that. And whatever choices that they made that was poorly, that is on them. Nobody is walking this earth is perfect, man. It is some rude, ignorant ass people on here that's talking.
And I think you are the one. I think you talking about yourself.
About, oh, I hope it get cut off. Really?
The good thing about having Section 8 is it does go with your income. So if your income is up here, you pay some rent, you just don't pay the market rent. If your income is down here, then you pay a smaller amount of rent.
What essentially she's saying is that the more money that you make, the less that they will help you out, thereby it being designed to keep you there. Because why would you want to work more if they're going to give you less money? I mean, these people are making a rational decision, leveraging the current structure. That's why they're on forever Section 8, designed to keep you in a cycle. And a lot of times these families, they just keep on adding on more kids, more bills, more liabilities.
But still, it's the income that matters. So if you qualify for the lowest income, that means your income is that low that you don't have to pay regular rent.
But why would you want to qualify for the lowest income, right? Why would you want to live at the lowest, right? Why wouldn't your mindset be, hey, I should live at the highest, right? How can I climb up? How can I come up? How can I get up? And not the illegal way, but the legal way, right? That's the mindset. It's like, I'm going to get you in this place, and as long as you stay broke, you can stay here, right? And I heard somebody on the internet say the Democrats are the party of the broke, right? And the only way they can stay the party of the broke is by keeping you broke. So take that for what you will.
You'll qualify as low income. So what that means are,
there are people that absolutely need it, but there are people that absolutely abuse the system. And I mean, to be honest, if my rent was $13 a month, would I be rushing to go to work either? No, that's why the cycle is vicious.
I personally don't agree with a lot of things Trump is saying, but this one specific thing makes sense to me. To all the people that's on Section 8, he is giving y'all 2 years to get on your feet. Trump said stop being dependent and become independent. I agree. I'm not no hating.
And that's kind of president we need to have. That's leadership, right? That's the difference between somebody saying, here, I'm just going to give you these crumbs, these little peanuts, right? Just so you can get by. Instead of me doing that, I'm going to say, nah, it's time that you come up and learn how to be independent, right? And that's the type of president we need. Yeah.
That's big. I'm not knocking nobody's situation. But if you really think about it, Section 8 is only to assist you to get on your feet. Section 8 is a stepping stone to get you on your feet. Section 8 is not something you should depend on for the rest of your life. Government assistance is not something you should depend on for the rest of your life. Keyword, assistance, to assist you. Y'all done got too comfortable. There's people that's been on Section 8 for like 10 plus years. That's a long time. Within that amount of time, you should have a lot of money saved up in your bank account, in your savings account. Y'all too busy buying the newest shoes, buying the hottest cars, trying to keep up with the trend, buying designer purses, buying designer clothes, but you're in public housing. If you can buy designers, you can pay your house rent without assistance. Let that sink in. If you can buy designers, you can pay your house rent without assistance. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of single mothers out here also that need those type of assistance. But if you just comfortably living off Section 8 and don't care, that's crazy to me. That's the reason why nobody else can get in, because y'all be on Section 8 for years. Y'all not thinking outside the box. Y'all being so dependent. Stop being so dependent and let's become independent.
Section 8, baby, let's talk about it. Section 8 is a blessing. It was created to help people who are struggling, not as a trap, but as a trampoline. It's supposed to give folks room to breathe while they rebuild. Mentally, financially, emotionally, spiritually. Let's be real, not everybody uses this like that. Instead of elevating, some people are doing everything that they can to stay stuck. And it's not.
And that's the bare hardcore truth. That's the reality that we got to come to grips with as a community, as a black community, as a poor community, however you want to look at it. But I would say a lot of the Section 8 people is black. I mean, come on, y'all. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it honest. So before you get all in my comments, hating and all that, whatever. I don't care. You want my black card, you can have it. I changed my black card in for a bank card. Okay. So yeah, we're going to get into it. Like I said, shout out this brother right here at Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. I'm going to leave his link to his video down in the comments. I'm going to leave the links for all these videos down in the comments. You know, if y'all want to make a difference, y'all go watch these brothers, support them, like their videos, subscribe to their channels. Like my video, subscribe to my channel. I need 1,000 subscribers, so come on with it. Drop it like it's hot. You know what I mean? And I don't care if you're a hater, put that in the comments. But all that crazy language, all that's going to get scrubbed, deleted, all that. You're going to get in the comments, come on with some common sense, right? Anyway,